Great.
This is a tremendous honor for me to have come full circle like this. There is a tremendous amount of people here tonight. How y'all doing? Wow. But my story is just like yours, and I felt like I got invited. Can you hear me good? I got invited here tonight to share some of that. But since I've been here, I've got to hear some of your stories. And there's an amazing amount of cohesion with all of the people who are not only involved in the program, but those who are going through it. I wanted to thank everybody involved as well, all the different partners. I'm very proud of all the graduates tonight. It's not easy to turn your life around, especially from the position you found yourself in. And then all the trainees too, right? The ones who were brave enough to start that program tonight or earlier. But just to tell you a little bit about myself, I went through homelessness and addiction. And like most people who struggled with an addiction, I had some childhood trauma. And this was in Southern California. And so, my reaction to that trauma became my story, right? I basically looked at the world through that lens. And it caused me to progress through many years of running away from my problems, addiction, which is another form of running away, and several incarcerations. I went through a couple of different programs like this, but unfortunately I was a little bit too stubborn to make it through them. But I had a turning point while I was in prison this last night, and I wanted to share a little bit about that story. How many of you guys are familiar with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Very good program. Yeah. I found myself, so I went through several incarcerations. They were very kind of minor. I was in and out. When I wasn't incarcerated, I was homeless. It was basically just a cycle of addiction over and over again. And this last time I was in, I was looking at a lot of time. And it finally got my attention enough to where I started working on myself, on my character. And that made all the difference to begin with, right? Because I started to feel better about me. I started to maybe get some faith in my life that my life could be different. And so I started moving through the criminal justice system. The doors started opening. I got to a better facility. I got to go to work in vocations, stuff like that. But then I had another paradigm shift. And that was, I got a cancer diagnosis. And as some of you may know, the medical system in the medical department in the prison system is not very good. It took them about 15 months to send me to the doctor. And when they finally did, she pretty much told me she knew exactly what that cancer was. She sees it quite often. It's got a 5-year survival rate. You've got I think you've had it for 2 years. And so I went back to Fremont. I was in Fremont at the time, in shackles in the back of a bus by myself. It's about a 2-hour ride, thinking I had about 3 years to live. And that paradigm shift changed my entire story from that point on. What I mean is I realized that I had 12 years to the parole board. I only had 3 years to live. I was going to die in prison. What kind of legacy could I leave behind, right? I just started being of service to my brothers while I was in there. And I think that has made all the difference in my life, right? Finding that purpose and intentionally changing my story. Up until that point, I had been living my trauma over and over again, right? We get into this cycle where we see through that lens and we create those same circumstances in our life over and over again. But when we can find the healing from that, we begin to then give our healing away to others. And that can transcend into our story. There is an exercise they do in the 7 Habits. It's called the mission statement. Has anybody done one of those? Mm-hmm. There we go. I see some people. And what that is what we do with intention is we begin to write out what story we want to have in our life, right? Who I want to be, where I want to go, what I want to do. And we can put it out on paper, And that gives us a chance to review it and change it and adjust it and see it every day, right? Become engaged with it. So as I was sitting around talking to everybody inside and out and hearing the stories of engagement that you guys have created in your program, I was amazed, right? Because that's the same process. You have come to a point in your life where you've decided things need to change, but how do you do that? How do you start over again and start new with a community like this? Stories just aren't our own. We share them with everybody else, and that's really what a community comes to be, right? We share our stories, we give ourselves away, we remember each other. Those experiences you guys have shared, you know what I'm talking about is like, and I wasn't there, but you guys have your stories. Those people who went through the program for the last year, you remember the time that the refrigerator broke down and we had to go out and get all of this stuff, or remember the time nobody remembered their shirt when they went out to work and we had to get new shirts, or all the different things that bring our history and our story as one. You guys have created that, and I'm very proud of that. But our stories just don't stop there. I'm a little nervous right now.
You're doing great.
Doing good.
People like Rick and Bobby, right? Like I don't know what to do with my hand. So I talk a lot about narrative because that was how I changed, right? How I brought how my new life around was by bringing it out on paper and then seeing it every day and starting to work over and over again on it, right? It's a reminder. Our memories aren't very good. And so when we can bring it out on paper and see it, that gives us a choice every morning. We can take one more step towards that goal, to becoming that new man, that new woman, to being a better father, to being a better parent. And so I would encourage all of that with you, that this is not just the beginning for you, right? Or those graduates, this is not the end. This is your beginning. This is, leaving this program now, you get to start any story you want. You get to become and find not only your purpose in life, but success. You know, one of the things that I had, one of the limiting beliefs I had for so many years, I thought that my addiction and my criminal past were going to keep me from the American dream. And that's not the story, folks. America loves a comeback story, and all of you have that. All of you have that possibility. They're ready for you to find your dream life, and it is out there right now for you. So I'm very excited for all the graduates and the new life they have to create, as well as the trainees. You guys have begun that path today, or within the last couple of months, right? We've taken those first steps, and they are the most difficult. But there is a possibility out there for each and every one of you. Just having the ability to work and work beside those people who have been in the program and graduated and seen their successes. I came up here tonight, not because I wanted to try to like show off and tell you all of my successes, but I wanted to share that, hey, if I can do that, you guys can do it too. I came from, like I said, I'm a man of conviction, actually several convictions. But that has actually brought that around, right? That hard-nosed stubbornness that it took to finally find the answers are actually now what are driving me to my life today. And I want to say that to you too. Like it was a hard life we were living out there, right? I was on the streets for 10 years, and it's not easy. And that same kind of drive, being able to survive that, and not only survive, but come out of it with a better paradigm, a better story, more connections to others, that's what's going to drive your future. For myself, I had created years of emotional barricades, right? I didn't want to deal with my trauma. I didn't want to deal with my past. And so I had created not only the walls to keep other people out, but also that's what the drugs were, right? The drugs kept me in that same position. And I always found myself with just a backpack and on the street again, because that's where I felt at home. I felt that was all I was going to be able to amount to. But as things progressed, as each day little things happen, right? Doors open for me. When you start to do right in the world, the source energy starts to respond, right? And it's our words and our self-talk that direct that. There's an old book. There might be a copy of it in here somewhere. It says that in the beginning God was the Word and the Word was God, right?
Yes.
And so that means that words are kind of powerful, right? The stories we tell ourselves, the stories we tell others when we meet them, that's important to what our future is going to be bringing, right? So recognize the words that you talk to each other, the words you talk in your head, that's the kind of future you're going to be bringing to yourself. And it's very simple to start simple steps to changing that inner dialogue, changing the stories you tell each other, and it's all these experiences you guys have had in here, right? Like, how many people think they've built lifelong friendships while they've been in this program? There you go. Even if you don't like that guy, he's got something to teach you. Right? That's another part of the story. You remember when that guy wouldn't brush his teeth every morning and we had to talk to him? Yeah, I remember that. That's a part of the narrative too. That's what part of your new story is going to be like. As Melissa mentioned, I've been out of prison now 3 years. When I got out, I got a real easy job washing dishes. It was about a 4-minute walk from my house. And I started doing that for about 6 months, but there was this inner call inside me, right? When I was going through my cancer treatment, I started working with my brothers and giving myself away. And that really showed me that purpose in my life. Many times I had tried to get sober before, and there was a tremendous push to get away from what I didn't want, right? I was homeless. I was looking at some time. My relationships were all messed up. All of these bad things were in my life, and so there was a tremendous push to get away from them. But as soon as I got away a little bit and got away from the edge, I would relax. Man, it's over with. I'm good. But I was still the same person. I still told the same stories, and I would start sliding back towards that edge again. This time, there was this shift. I shifted away from something like I had there was that tremendous push to get away from what I didn't want, but there was a pull now. I switched. I felt a purpose in my life, and I would recommend that that's what this time is for you, right? We're at a point now in our lives where we've got a little bit of breathing room, right? As you're graduating, you've got some success. We're coming out. We're not on the street anymore. We've got a little bit. Now we start to think about what's next. What's our purpose? Why are we here? I want to thank you all for letting me speak. I'm very proud to be here. This is a very humbling and honoring night for me, and thank you very much.